Panic has officially gripped Chicago, and all eyes are locked on Angel Reese. Behind closed doors, the Chicago Sky ownership is scrambling, desperate, and according to insiders, literally begging their young star not to walk away. The whispers coming out of the front office are nothing short of shocking. Emergency meetings, late-night phone calls, and even talk of a last-chance plan to convince Reese that she belongs in Chicago. For fans, it's hard to believe, how did it come to this so quickly? Angel Reese wasn't supposed to be a player the Sky had to fight to keep. She was the future, the face of the franchise, the box office draw who filled arenas and made Chicago relevant again. Yet now, just 2 years in, the organization is staring down its worst nightmare, losing the one star they can't afford to lose. Insiders claim ownership has reached a breaking point. Some executives are pointing fingers, others are quietly admitting mistakes. And rumors suggest Reese herself has lost patience with the chaos around her. The question is no longer if Chicago Sky can hold on, it's how far they're willing to go in this emergency fight for Angel Reese's loyalty. When Angel Reese entered the WNBA, she didn't just step into the league, she exploded into it. Known for her swagger, her unapologetic confidence, and her ability to dominate in the paint, Reese was instantly branded as one of the new faces of the league. She had the perfect combination of marketability and talent, a charismatic personality that drew media attention, and a game that backed up every word she spoke. For the Chicago Sky, drafting her seemed like the dream move that would usher in a new era of relevance and excitement. From the moment she put on that Sky jersey, Angel became a lightning rod. She was bigger than the team's brand itself. Her social media following eclipsed the official accounts of both the Sky and the WNBA. She landed in fashion magazines, appeared in commercials, and became the type of crossover figure that few women's basketball players have ever achieved. To fans, she wasn't just a player, she was a cultural icon. Someone who could bring new eyes to the WNBA and energize a fan base that had grown weary of inconsistency. But the fairy tale started to unravel faster than anyone expected. The Chicago Sky, fresh off their championship run in 2021, had been struggling to find their identity in the seasons that followed. Star players left, coaching staff turned over, and questionable front office moves raised eyebrows across the league. Instead of building around Reese and surrounding her with elite talent, the Sky appeared to stumble from one short-term patch to another. What really set off alarm bells, however, was how quickly Reese became entangled in internal drama. The suspension saga, fueled by technical fouls and controversial post-game comments, showed fans a glimpse of a deeper rift. Reese openly criticized the front office, calling for better players and a higher level of commitment, remarks that didn't sit well with management or even some teammates. Though she later walked back parts of her comments, the damage was done. Reese had gone public with frustrations that most stars keep behind closed doors. At the same time, rumors of dissatisfaction within the locker room started swirling. Players weren't sure whether Reese was being unfairly targeted or whether she was simply fed up with the dysfunction that surrounded her. Fans picked sides, some applauded her boldness, others felt she was stirring up unnecessary drama. What couldn't be denied was that Angel Reese was no longer just another rookie developing in Chicago. She had quickly become the centerpiece of a storm that the Sky front office couldn't control. Meanwhile, other teams across the league began circling like sharks in the water. They could sense vulnerability. Reese was still on her rookie contract, making her one of the most valuable assets in the WNBA. Contenders dreamed of slotting her into their lineups on a bargain deal, while rebuilding teams fantasized about making her the foundation of their future. The possibility of Angel leaving Chicago was no longer unthinkable, it was becoming more and more real with each passing week of front office missteps. The Sky's ownership, once confident they had secured a long-term superstar, suddenly found themselves in a crisis. Losing Reese wouldn't just hurt the team on the court, it would devastate their business off it. Attendance numbers, merchandise sales, sponsorship opportunities, all of it was tied to Angel's star power. If she walked, the Sky risked fading back into obscurity, with little to show for one of the most promising young stars the league has ever seen. Now, the whispers are turning into shouts. Ownership is in full panic mode. Meetings are being held, plans are being drawn, and insiders are leaking that the Sky are preparing a desperate, Olin strategy to keep Angel Reese from bolting. The Chicago Sky's internal struggles reached a breaking point when Angel Reese's relationship with the front office boiled over into public view. What had been whispers of tension behind closed doors suddenly became undeniable headlines, and the franchise found itself facing a dilemma it could no longer ignore: keep protecting the front office, or prioritize its biggest star. The first major flashpoint came during Reese's highly scrutinized suspension. The league officially listed it as a penalty for unsportsmanlike conduct following repeated technical fouls. But insiders leaked that her post-game comments about the Sky's roster construction had played an equally significant role. Angel had criticized the lack of talent around her, calling for stronger pieces to compete with powerhouses like the Aces and Liberty. She didn't mince words. And though some interpreted her comments as leadership, others inside the organization felt betrayed. According to one insider leak, several executives felt Reese had crossed the line, while others argued she was just saying what fans had been thinking all along. When the Sky suspended her for half a game, fans immediately saw through the move. On social media, the decision was branded as a punishment, disguised as a technicality. Hashtags like #FreeAngel started trending, and fans began wearing Fire Jeff shirts at home games, directly calling out the general manager. The franchise had unwittingly created a civil war, Reese versus management, with the fan base overwhelmingly siding with Reese. The conflict escalated when Reese didn't return to play, even after serving the suspension. The official explanation was a back injury, but insiders whispered otherwise. A source close to the team claimed Angel was mentally checked out and that she had made it clear she wasn't going to risk further injury for a team she no longer trusted. Another leak suggested that Reese's camp was quietly exploring her trade value, gauging what kind of package rival teams might be willing to put together if Chicago forced her hand. This was the first major twist. For weeks, the narrative had been that Chicago held all the leverage. Reese was still on a rookie contract, and the front office could simply wait out her frustration. But suddenly, insiders revealed that Angel's camp had far more power than anyone realized. Not only did Reese have the support of fans and growing backing from fellow players around the league, but she also had brands and sponsors quietly signaling that they would stand by her if she forced a move. In other words, the Sky weren't just risking losing a player, they were risking a full-blown PR disaster. If Angel Reese walked, the message would be clear: Chicago couldn't handle its superstar, and no other rising player should trust the organization's promises. For a franchise already plagued by questionable management decisions, the fallout could be catastrophic. Making matters worse, rival teams began circling. Leaks surfaced that the Dallas Wings, desperate for a dominant frontcourt presence, were exploring what a blockbuster deal might look like. The Sparks were rumored to be interested as well, seeing Reese as the perfect centerpiece to rebuild their once proud franchise. And even powerhouse contenders like the New York Liberty were reportedly intrigued at the thought of slotting Angel into a rotation that could rival any dynasty in WNBA history. Chicago suddenly found itself boxed in. If they kept Reese unhappy, they risked implosion. If they traded her, they risked handing another franchise a superstar for the next decade. Ownership began scrambling, but it was clear to insiders, this wasn't a simple disagreement anymore. This was a standoff with stakes that could reshape not just the Sky's future, but the entire balance of power in the WNBA. And as pressure mounted, one chilling detail leaked out. Angel's inner circle had reportedly given Chicago a deadline: fix the dysfunction, show a real commitment, or she was gone. The drama around Angel Reese and the Chicago Sky didn't cool down after her suspension. It intensified, spiraling into one of the most chaotic stretches the franchise had ever faced. What began as whispers of tension soon erupted into outright panic, as insiders leaked explosive details that painted a very different picture than the carefully worded public statements from the front office. Behind closed doors, meetings grew increasingly heated. Sources revealed that ownership had demanded the front office craft an emergency plan to keep Angel Reese in Chicago at all costs. The problem: the very people in charge of building that plan were the same executives Reese had lost faith in. Players noticed the disconnect immediately, with one anonymous teammate saying, "It felt like the front office was trying to save face, not save Angel." The escalation truly took off when a private meeting between Reese and Chicago's leadership reportedly went sideways. According to multiple insiders, Reese confronted the general manager directly, accusing him of failing to put her in a position to win. She cited missed opportunities in free agency, questionable draft choices, and even the lack of proper training facilities compared to rival teams. At one point, sources claim Angel stood up, pointed at the GM, and declared, "I'm bigger than this front office, and you know it." That moment reportedly sent shockwaves through the organization. It wasn't just a frustrated player venting, it was a superstar drawing a line in the sand. The shocking reveal came days later when a local Chicago journalist leaked a bombshell report. Reese's camp had already been in contact with representatives from two rival franchises, the Dallas Wings and the Los Angeles Sparks. The conversations, though informal, centered around the possibility of Reese forcing her way out of Chicago if conditions didn't improve immediately. For a rookie still on her initial contract to be making such bold moves was unprecedented in the WNBA, and it signaled a new era of player empowerment. What made matters even worse for the Sky was the way the news broke. Social media lit up with claims that Reese had been spotted in Los Angeles, dining with a member of the Sparks front office. Photos surfaced online, though none were officially verified. Still, the damage was done. Fans flooded the Sky's official accounts, demanding answers. "Why are we about to lose our only star?" One viral comment read, "Fire the GM before Angel leaves." Ownership, now under immense pressure, scrambled to control the narrative. A statement was rushed out, claiming that Reese remained an essential part of the Sky's future and that the organization was committed to building around her. But by then, the credibility of the front office had collapsed. Reporters pressed harder, asking why Reese had missed multiple games beyond her suspension, and whether the so-called back injury was really masking a deeper standoff with management. The escalation hit a fever pitch when yet another leak surfaced. The Sky had quietly approached several league executives to gauge Reese's trade value, despite publicly insisting she was untouchable. According to one insider, the offers being floated involved multiple first-round picks and young talent, but nothing close to the value of a generational superstar. The fact that Chicago was even entertaining those discussions sent fans into a frenzy. And then came the most shocking detail of all. A source close to Reese allegedly revealed that Angel had drawn up her own list of preferred destinations should a trade become inevitable. At the top of that list, the Las Vegas Aces, the defending powerhouse of the league. The idea of Angel Reese joining forces with A'ja Wilson sent shockwaves through basketball circles. Analysts immediately declared that such a move would create an unstoppable dynasty, one that could dominate the WNBA for years. The Sky's nightmare scenario was no longer hypothetical. It was staring them in the face. If they lost Reese, not only would they lose their most marketable star, but they might also gift-wrap her to the very team they were desperate to catch. Chicago fans began chanting, "Free Angel," louder than ever, and the national media picked up on the growing storm. The Sky, once riding high after their 2021 championship, were now on the brink of collapse, all because they had mishandled their relationship with the player who was supposed to secure their future. The shocking reveal wasn't just that Reese might leave, it was that she was already preparing her exit. And unless something drastic changed, it seemed like only a matter of when, not if. The news of Angel Reese's possible departure from the Chicago Sky exploded across the WNBA community, sending fans, analysts, and even rival teams into a frenzy. What had started as whispers of tension became a full-scale public meltdown once the leaks about her secret meetings and potential trade destinations hit the media. For fans in Chicago, the reaction was swift and brutal. Social media became a war zone of frustration and despair. Hashtags like #FreeAngel and #Fire the GM began trending, with thousands of comments piling up under every official Sky post. One furious fan wrote, "We had Candace Parker and we blew it. Now we have Angel Reese and they're about to blow that too. Enough is enough." Another went viral for posting a photo of an empty Sky game and captioning it, "This is what happens when you disrespect your star." The fan base wasn't just disappointed. They were ready to revolt. Even in arenas, the backlash was impossible to ignore. During Chicago's final home stretch, fans were spotted wearing custom shirts reading "Angel greater than management" and "Save our star." Chants of "Fire Jeff" echoed through Wintrust Arena, creating an embarrassing spectacle for ownership. It was clear the people weren't siding with the front office. They were siding with Angel. Meanwhile, the national media seized on the story, turning it into one of the most discussed sagas of the offseason. Sports talk shows framed the situation as a battle between old-school management and the new era of empowered superstars. ESPN analysts debated whether Reese's leverage was unprecedented, while podcasts dissected every rumor about her meetings with the Sparks and Aces. One analyst boldly declared, "This isn't just about Angel Reese, it's about the future of the WNBA. If the Sky lose her, it will be the biggest front office failure in recent league history." Other WNBA players also chimed in, adding fuel to the fire. Some defended Angel openly, while others threw subtle shade at Chicago's leadership. Gabby Williams, speaking on a podcast, remarked, "This isn't new. Chicago's been promising Things they can't deliver for years. Aja. Wilson fueled speculation by posting a cryptic tweet with just an eye emoji. After the rumors of Reese's interest in Vegas surfaced, fans immediately interpreted it as confirmation that Wilson was ready to welcome Angel with open arms. From a business perspective, industry insiders warned that Chicago couldn't afford to mishandle the situation. Reese wasn't just a player, she was a marketing juggernaut. Her games consistently drew higher ratings, her merchandise outsold many veterans, and sponsors lined up to be attached to her name. Losing her wouldn't just hurt the team on the court, it would devastate the franchise's financial future. As one sports business journalist put it, "The Sky aren't just risking losing Angel, they're risking losing relevance." The league office itself reportedly began monitoring the situation closely, with a new collective bargaining agreement looming. Angel's standoff was becoming a test case for how much power rising stars could wield against struggling organizations. If Chicago traded her, it could embolden other young players to demand similar treatment, reshaping the power dynamics of the WNBA. In the end, the reactions all pointed in the same direction. The Chicago Sky were on the brink of disaster. Fans had lost faith, analysts saw incompetence, players rallied around Angel, and rival teams smelled blood in the water. The public narrative was no longer about whether Reese might leave, it was about whether Chicago could possibly survive if she did. Just when it seemed the Chicago Sky had hit rock bottom in their messy standoff with Angel Reese, a shocking twist turned the entire saga upside down. Late on a quiet Sunday night, a mysterious leak surfaced from inside the Sky organization. A reporter posted what appeared to be an internal memo circulated among team executives, an emergency plan outlining trade scenarios involving Angel Reese. The document listed potential destinations, including the Las Vegas Aces, Los Angeles Sparks, and even the Dallas Wings. The most explosive detail: a proposed three-team blockbuster trade that would have shipped Reese to the Aces in exchange for draft picks and two established veterans. The leak hit social media like a bombshell. Screenshots of the memo spread within minutes, and fans were stunned. Not only did it confirm that Chicago was actively exploring trades despite public denials, but it also revealed that ownership was more concerned with protecting organizational reputation than building around Reese. One bullet point from the document even read, "If necessary, spin narrative that Angel is difficult to work with to preserve leverage." That single line was enough to set the internet ablaze. Fans accused the Sky of orchestrating a smear campaign, further proving Angel's claims that management had been undercutting her from the start. The chants of Free Angel grew louder, and the idea that the franchise might sabotage its own star to save face turned a tense situation into an outright scandal. But the twists didn't stop there. Just hours after the leak, Angel herself posted a cryptic message on X. "Truth always comes to light." She didn't tag anyone, didn't mention the Sky by name, but everyone knew exactly what she meant. The timing made it impossible to ignore. It wasn't just a subtle shot at management. It was a declaration that she knew exactly what they were doing behind closed doors. Insiders then reported that Angel's camp had begun exploring legal options. If the Sky were actively working to damage her reputation, it could breach her contract and open the door for her to walk away without a trade at all. That possibility sent shockwaves through the league. Could Angel Reese, the most polarizing, marketable, and talked about rookie of her generation, actually force her way out of Chicago entirely free? Meanwhile, rival teams smelled opportunity. Within 24 hours of the leak, sources claimed at least 3 franchises had reached out to Reese's representatives directly, promising her the kind of treatment she'd been demanding from Chicago all along: world-class facilities, roster upgrades, and most importantly, respect. By the next morning, the entire WNBA was in chaos. The Sky weren't just fighting to keep their star, they were fighting to salvage their credibility. The leaked memo painted them as desperate, dishonest, and panicked. Angel's cryptic posts only amplified the drama, and now, with legal threats looming, the possibility of an unprecedented player power move was suddenly on the horizon. Would Angel Reese actually blow the doors off the WNBA by walking away from the Sky completely? Would the front office collapse under the pressure and fire its GM to keep her? Or would Chicago double down, risk losing its star, and burn its relationship with the fans forever? The answers remain hidden behind closed doors, but one thing is clear: the battle between Angel Reese and the Chicago Sky has reached a boiling point, and the final outcome could change the W forever. This story is far from over, and the Chicago Sky find themselves at a crossroads. Unlike anything we've ever seen, Angel Reese holds all the power, and with every cryptic post, every insider leak, and every fan movement online, the pressure on this franchise is reaching breaking point. Will the Sky finally cave to her demands, overhaul their leadership, and build the dynasty she believes she deserves? Or will this explode into the most shocking player exit in WNBA history? What happens next could reshape not just Angel's future but the entire league's balance of power. And trust me, you won't want to miss a single update as this drama unfolds. So if you're locked in like we are, make sure you smash that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and join the conversation below. Where do you think Angel Reese will end up if she leaves Chicago?